Hey everyone, welcome back to Epicenter Garage. If you watched a recent episode, you witnessed my lack or complete failure to buy a 1991 Honda Civic Si, which, oh man, I wish it was sitting right over there right now and we could kind of go over the whole car, but that's not gonna happen. I did not get that car bought, and so, but you know what? Things happen for a reason. I truly believe that. And today, literally like 5 minutes ago, I just sent, I'm not gonna show it to you, I just wired off funds to Japan to buy a cool car. I mean, like one that much cooler than a Honda Civic Si, one that I have wanted so bad since I remember when sitting in high school reading magazines regarding this car. So funds have been sent off, keep my fingers out. I've never purchased a car from Japan, and until it's here, I really, pinch myself. I really don't know if it's going to happen, but the money has been sent. So hopefully something's going to transpire. So working with the broker, getting it here. Oh man, that thing's going to, I cannot wait to get behind the wheel. Oh, and if you guys can guess what it is, the first one to put down the comments, now you have to be right on the money, not like, oh, it's going to be a BMW or this or that. It has to be right on the money. The first person can guess and put down the comments, I will send you a car off my wall, a Matchbox car or Hot Wheels. I will ship. I don't care if you're in South Africa. I don't care if you're in Australia. I don't care if you're in Europe. I'm going to ship it to you. I'm going to get you one of these cars. If you're right, first one, it's coming there your way. And we got a few new parts in. I just got a turbo in sitting right over there, a K27. As you guys know, the 930 turbo is turning into, I should say, quite the project, because Euro-Asian Bob came down. I drove his white 930 turbo and it was freaking fast. And I'm like, dang, this is much faster than my turbo. So I had to do something about that. It's starting to turn into a little bit of an arms race, I think, but I have to do it. So K27 turbo is here. Exhaust coming in from Fast Feed, headers from Fast Feed, as well as a new intercooler. And I just got confirmation that that is on its way. So before long, those parts are going to be on, and they're going to be in the 930, and then we may have to do a little run between Bob's white 930 turbo and mine, so it's going to be a race. I've got to make it so it's a race. And then next, I know I've been talking about this car for quite some time. I've got my BMW M6, and I finally made the phone call to Johnny, or actually he called me up and he's like, hey, I'm ready for it, bring it on up. So that car is going up to you-know-who, Johnny, AKA the Car Ninja. The BMW is going up for a multitude of things, including obviously to lower that car down, because I've had the parts here for quite some time. So that project is starting to come into fruition. But today, what we're going to do is we're going to go drag out my 1987 Cosworth Sierra and get that thing in here, because I went to go drive it the other day and it's been leaking. The power steering has been leaking a little bit in that car. And so it is time for that to be fixed. And I've heard all kinds of different things like what I need to do. Now that car is a left-hand drive car. A large chunk of those cars are right-hand drive cars. So some of the parts, power steering, or the rack, I should say anyway. So I'm running into an issue finding a replacement or a rebuilt rack, because it is left-hand drive. But we're going to pull that in. I've heard different rumors that, hey, it's nothing more, it's the same rack that's in an SVO Mustang or a Mustang in general. So I don't know what the truth is. So if you guys know, please put in the comments. Those of you that are overseas, if you that know more about these cars than I do, please let me know what that is. But we're going to pull that thing out. We're going to get that thing up on the lift and see what's going on, at least even see where the leak is coming from. Oh man, this power steering pump does not have, you can hear it's not good. I know it's running a little bit dry. I've been putting fluid in it, but it's got to be pulled out of there. This thing's got to be redone. So this is my 1987 Ford Sierra Cosworth RS. Now the RS, they build basically a couple versions of these. The RS, which is, I don't know whether they say the standard version, but the 204 horsepower version. And then of course they came out with the RS 500, which I want to say that put out about 10 more horsepower. Not a lot more horsepower, but it had bigger injectors, had bigger turbo. And the 500 was really designed to go pretty much almost right into touring car or racing over in Europe, because basically the bones were already there. And those cars produced up to, you know, on the street ones, they were 214 horsepower, but the race ones, supposedly they were upwards were, I'm going to say like 650 to 700 horsepower, depending on how much they turned up the wick, whether it's qualifying trim or whether it's full-on race trim. But these cars, when they talk about, I know it's been overused all the time, how iconic cars are, but these cars, man, this car, I wanted one of these things, just like any car that I have. I've wanted it for so long. And of course, you could bring these into the United States, or there's for a long time. And I bet I have no clue how many are in the States, but there has to be just a small handful of these cars. And now the values, you used to be able to pick these things up really cheap, which I picked this one up stupid cheap a long time ago, and now these cars fetch big dollars. But that's okay, because I mean, you know, it doesn't really matter to me, because I will never sell this car, because I thoroughly enjoy driving this car. Of course, a lot of times when I drive this car, people think it is a Mercure XR4 Ti, which they had a lot of similarities, they did, but certainly under the hood, that's where the similarities stop. They do have obviously the same kind of styling, the quasi, you know, double wing a little bit, but these cars, this car to drive is just sublime. The steering, just the way it performs. You know, these are not the fastest car in the world. You know, 204 horsepower. You got a 2-liter turbocharged engine, so you do have some turbo lag. But you know, there's some cars that it doesn't matter if they're super fast or super slow. It's just the way they make you feel. And this car, when I'm behind the wheel, man, I don't know, I can't explain it. It just makes me feel a certain way, and I just absolutely love it. But what we've got to do to this car is, I've been enjoying this car, and over the period of time, the power steering has been leaking. It's been peeing on the floor out there in the main garage. And I've been putting fluid in it. I'd go out and drive it, put more fluid in it, go out and drive it. And now it's about time I need to quit just putting a Band-Aid over it and pull the steering rack out and get it sent out and get it rebuilt. But once again, I've been online trying to search about these cars and what power steering they put in them and the racks. And supposedly they put in different racks. They had a fast rack, and they had a regular rack, and then they had a faster rack. And I don't know which one this car has, so I need to get underneath of it, take some pictures, because I already have on my computer, I've already taken screenshots of all these different racks that people say that are in these cars, so I can either get a new one on order or rebuild it. But I don't know which one it is, so I need to get up on the air and actually take some pictures so I can start comparing it on the computer, figure out what the flip I have, actually. So that's what we're going to do today, get it up on the deal. And of course, once we up there, I can't remember. I need to look in the logs to see when the last time I've changed the oil, but I'm going to probably bleed the brakes, change the oil, anything that needs to be done, flush the coolant, so I can start enjoying this thing come springtime and start racking the miles, even more miles on this thing. But the handling on this car, I have big plans for this car. When I first got it, I was going to modify it. And I actually have a set of wheels up in the mezzanine, really cool touring car wheels for this car. So we may end up putting those on. We may end up getting a different exhaust for this car, make it a little bit faster. But there's also something about enjoying this car just like it came off the assembly line in its purest form, even with the stock exhaust, just feeling like, what was this car like when somebody bought this in 1986 or 1987 to drive? And of course, we never got these cars over here, which is a darn shame. The XR4 Ti, that's a great car, but it's no Cosworth. It's not a Sierra. I'm telling you, it's not a Sierra. So look at this power plant. What we have here is a 2-liter 16-valve turbocharged Cosworth power plant, and I just think just that red valve cover in there against the white. The turbocharger, of course, is just right here. So much now you can't even see turbos on cars, but no, this thing is right here. I mean, I could probably pull this turbocharger out in like an hour. What we've got here, we've got the power steering reservoir, we've got our hoses right here, and this hose, oh my gosh, this hose is really rock hard. That hose definitely needs to be replaced, and of course it is leaking under this hose, but actually under the reservoir as well. So I wonder if I have maybe a slight crack. Well, doesn't sound good. Slight crack in the reservoir, but you can see here that it's run all the way down here. So I don't know if this leak is from the pump itself. It looks pretty dry, so hopefully maybe the leak is just coming from the hoses. That's probably the case, but we're going to get it up and see the rack as well, because I'm pretty sure the rack has some issues too. Oh man, yeah, She's got some leaks for sure. So starting at the top here, we got a little bit under the power steering pump here. And of course, what happens when something starts to leak on the front of your car, it just cakes the whole bottom side of your car. It's crazy how that happens. But so we got, I think, boot leak, in here. So this is dripping down this boot. As we move on over here, you can see it's running down here. And this boot is pretty wet here too. Oh man, yeah. The good thing is this rack looks like it's gonna be fairly easy to get out of here if we need to, but I need to probably check all the sway bar links as well. But yeah, definitely these hoses, I can tell around all the connections, it's seeping pretty bad. So that's one of the first thing we need to probably get taken care of are some new hoses. Good. Exhaust is in really fantastic shape for being completely stock. It's not bad, but it would be awfully fun to put an aftermarket or put an exhaust system on this. So if you know of any place to get exhaust for these cars or any particular parts, please let me know. I mean, I've gone online and done some research a little bit, but definitely on this rack, I'm gonna get some pictures of this rack and we'll get some close-up video of this rack. So any of you out there, man, that would be very, very helpful if you could let us know exactly what rack or where we should send this off to get it either rebuilt or replaced. Well, as I was working on it here, I got a phone call from Johnny, AKA Car Ninja, talking to him about the BMW when we're gonna bring the BMW M6 up to him. And he asked me what I was working on today, and I told him a Ford, and he's like, well, what's Ford, like your F-150 pickup truck? I'm like, no, the Cosworth Sierra. And he's like, oh man, well, what are you doing to that car? So we started talking about, lo and behold, this is, I didn't know this, but this is one of his favorite cars. And so I told him the issues with the rack, and it was kind of doing a little something funny, and that I eventually need to get a line just once I do the rack and I put new tie rods. And he, without a doubt, before I even said anything, hey, bring it on up. I'll work on that thing for you. So you know what? I think that's going to be the plan. So get this thing out of my hair, get it up to Johnny, Car Ninja, and let him play around with this car. Let him drive it, because he told me he hasn't driven one of these things in over 20 years. So he's anxious to get back behind the wheel. And you know what? That's what cars like this are all about. And man, if he can get this thing and fix the rack, hopefully he can. If he can't, that's fine too. But I'm going to get this up to his direction, get it into his shop, and he's going to enjoy this car. And maybe if he can enjoy it and fix it, that's what you call a win-win. All right, well, we didn't get that much stuff done on the Cosworth. I mean, I guess my real plan was just to get pictures of the rack, so maybe you guys can help me or I can get online. But what's better than anything, what I'm more excited about was the fact that Johnny agreed, Car Ninja agreed to take this project on, which I am so happy to get this thing, I don't want to say out of my hair, but you know, it's kind of nice when a car disappears and you don't have to work on it yourself and it comes back and it's all great. So that's what I'm keeping my fingers crossed. And I have a pretty good inkling that this car might be on his channel. You might get a chance to see some of the work being done on this car on his channel. So that will be, I'll be even excited to watch that. So you guys, once again, thank you so much for watching. Honestly, I really do appreciate it. It's really fun to see the subscribers actually grow and you guys make comments. So I really do appreciate it. It makes my day, honestly. Once again, you guys, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you guys again next time.